But right now we're going to talk to Don Kinzler. Talked to him just this morning and sounding better than he sounded the last time we talked. He was under the weather for a minute or two and is back with us finally. Don Kinzler, Cass County Horticulturist, welcome back to the Drive Time News Hour.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
I love the articles I read that you have, and one of them struck a resonant chord with me because I'm planning. I have a new trellis on my on my deck, and I'm planning on planting clematis, which are great climbing plants, and they're just beautiful. And I just wonder if you have some tips on how that might be done, and not just for me, but anybody who might be. You have any tips on clematis?
Well, clematis is a great choice, and the most popular clematis is the very familiar kind of a navy blue, purplish blue. That's the one called Jackman clematis. It's popular for a reason, because it's probably the most prolific, and clematis is the most colorful flowering vine that we can definitely plant. Garden centers sell them. Your locally owned garden centers, you'll easily find these. Now, a couple of things with the clematis. Patience is definitely a virtue, because it will take about 3 years for that newly planted clematis to kind of multiply down underground, get lots of good root systems, so it will fill up the trellis. The first year, probably the second year, it's going to seem a little spindly, but that's okay. It'll be developing. And so now the first year, one thing that you can do after you plant, there's a little trick that actually my parents taught me with our clematis at home, and that is to each of the little shoots that are coming, if you pinch out the little tips out of those, where you had one little tip, two appear. And so you can multiply the amount coming up on your trellis just simply that way. A couple of other things with clematis. There's an old saying, they like their feet in the shade and their head in the sun. Okay, so they like cool, shaded roots. You can accomplish that by adding mulch, shredded bark mulch, a good 6 inches or so over the root zone. That'll keep it cooler, keep it moist, and the roots are really going to like that. And if clematis had its preference, it would probably be on the east side, morning sun, afternoon shade. But, any side will do, but keep the roots cool and moist.
When I buy a clematis as a starter, presuming I'm not going to put seeds in the ground, how when you buy them, how tall are they usually to get them started?
Yeah, in a pot, they're usually probably on a kind of a little trellis just to kind of keep them upward, or a little stake. They'll probably be in the neighborhood of a foot high or so, but they're going to look spindly. But again, give it, patience, because if you give it those 3 years, you'll have a clematис that is going to last, many, many years, 40, 50 years or more.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm not going to last that long. So what other what other vining plants might satisfy me in a short season?
In a shorter season, well, there are some annual type that you can plant from seed that will give you good bloom, such as morning glories and some of the things like trumpet creeper, things such as that. But really, even though it sounds like 3 years is a good long time, the time passes quick, and clematis is hard to beat. The other thing that you can do to kind of boost them along a little quicker, water-soluble fertilizer. Dump at least probably 3 gallons of solution on in May and again in June. That will help them to multiply and increase even better.
Well, good. And I do have a eastward-facing plot for them. Cool. Thank you.
That would be ideal. That would be perfect.
And I read the article, but tell our listeners about why we shouldn't trust spring, especially this spring.
Well, any time that we roll the dice with Mother Nature almost always wins. For example, a week, 2 weeks ago, it was 70 degrees, and people were kind of getting the itch to rake their lawns, which actually could be damaging because that would have taken away some of the protective fluff that was down in the grass. Could have gotten a little winter kill then when it got cold, but this snow gives a little insulation. But this year especially, I don't trust, even if we get another warm spell, I still like the 10-day window of planting in May, about May 15th to May 25th. At that time, we'll kind of be able to see what the weather is, And so oftentimes if we get the itch to plant too early, we'll get May frosts. And so again, I just, especially this year, it's been way up and way down. And so I'm not planning on planting early. I'm going to enjoy the warm weather if it comes, but I am still going to do my planting in May and not in April.
We're talking here with Don Kinzler, the Cass County horticulturist. And one other quick question for you, Don. What can we be starting in our basement or wherever in the greenhouse to get ready for planting now?
Well, we are right on the verge of tomato planting time to get your seed started, April 1st. That's the preferred time to start tomatoes. If you've got some special varieties that you like, tomatoes started under lights is preferred. Sunny window, it's kind of hard because the sun kind of comes and goes. So under lights in the basement, keep the plants only about an inch or so below, and put them on a heat pad so they germinate quick. And peppers can still be started. Petunias, you can get those going. But tomatoes are definitely the number one for homeowners to get started.
You're right. Well, Don Kinzler, thank you for joining us again, and we'll be visiting again within the next couple of weeks, if you don't mind.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon, everyone.
That's Don Kinzler, Cass County horticulturist, here with us on KFGO.